welcome to Daydreams of Quilts on YouTube. I'm Anita. Today I'm going to talk about my first in-person show since the pandemic happened. So I haven't done a show since the fall of 2019, and I just did my first show last Sunday, a week ago. So I'm going to tell you what happened. But first I'm going to talk about my strategy. I kind of have changed my strategy for shows this time around. I did my first show in September of 2018, and my strategy back then was like bigger is better. So I was going for the 10 foot by 10 foot booth spaces. I was spending $200 to $400 for my booth. And for all my in-person shows, I wanted 10 feet by 10 feet because I'm like, that's how I have to display my quilts. I need more room for quilts. And now my strategy's changed because even though I did sell some quilts at those shows back then the pandemic hit in 2020, and this is my first time being out doing a show in public since everything started opening up again. And I'm in Alberta, Canada, so just for reference. So my strategy this time around is smaller and least expensive is better, because it is really hard to get past a $400 show fee and then make more money on top of that and make a profit, even before the pandemic. So now I'm spending $50 for a table, or $25 in some cases. My most expensive table is $175 for 2 days. So that's like $85 a day. But that's in Sherwood Park, and I think that could have a good turnover at that show. But for most of my shows, I'm going for a 6 foot table and just the basics. So this show was in a small town. Well, it's a city, but it's a small city, about an hour and a half from where I live. And it was $50 for the table. It was about $50 for gas to get there and back. And then I had my daughters and my husband with me, so we spent $30 on food. So that's $130. And at the show, I sold 3 bags for a total of $167. So it wasn't a huge success, but I'm very grateful for those 3 sales, because if I'd had no sales, I would have been very, crushed really. And I would have been really nervous about doing any more in-person shows. It would be like, if the first show had no sales, should I even keep trying, right? But for May, I'm doing a show in my own hometown, so there won't be gas expense, and the table was only $25. So I'm hoping that show's going to go a little better. And in June, I'm doing the Holy Handmade show in Sherwood Park, and that one was the one that was my most expensive one that I've booked so far. But I think that one is based, Sherwood Park is a community just outside of Edmonton, so I think there's going to be a lot more people at that show. Now with this show that I just did last weekend, it was also a fundraiser for an animal rescue society, and they did quite well on their fundraiser. Like, they sold all their 50/50 tickets. They got bids on all their silent auction items. That was another thing. I needed to donate an item to their silent auction. So that was another expense on that show. So they did really well, and I'm very glad for that. However, I do not feel that they advertised enough. There was no signs out except for a sign outside the actual venue. We didn't see any signs driving up the main highway. I don't know if they did any radio ads. I doubt it. Traffic was not that great at this show, and so I feel like it could have been more successful if there would have been more advertising. I'm doing the Prairie Fiber Festival in September, and she's already showcasing all her vendors even now. So I feel like she's doing a tremendous job, and I feel that that show is also going to be very successful, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's all kind of experimental right now because we don't know how people are feeling. People are really hanging on to their money right now because of all the inflation. So it's really unpredictable. But at the same time, 3 sales in one day was more than I've been getting online for a week lately. So I was very excited and happy to get those sales. and it was a real boost to my confidence. So I'm hoping that the next few shows will be successful. Let me know if you're doing in-person shows and how they're going for you. Are they going better than online sales for you right now? I think that maybe the shows are going to beat online. I'm keeping notes on each show, and so that I can remember when I look back next year how each show did and how much each show cost. So that's another thing you might want to consider, is keeping a record of what you spent and what you made and what the traffic was like at the show and what kind of sales you got. You might want to keep all of that in a record for next year, or for even planning for the fall and winter shows. I am going to go back to this same small city in November and do their winter show. I feel like it's going to be more successful because in my experience, spring shows usually don't do very well anyway, even without a pandemic. And the fall shows always do better because Christmas is coming up and people are finished with their summer vacations and they're feeling more like buying things for inside their homes. So I am going to give this show another shot in November, but I am keeping track of how things went at each different show so that next year I can make better decisions on which shows I'm going to choose to do. All right, so I hope that was helpful to you, and let me know how the show circuit is going for you and where you're at. Don't forget to click like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos from Daydreams of Quilts. Dave. I cannot do this with these claws all over the floor because we don't know how people are feeling, what you made, and what is going on up there? There's a dog outside. And what